working out has become, because I have a shoulder injury that I don't want to go have surgery. So Ben and I get together 3 days out of the week.
Well, be honest.
Come on.
Hey,
okay, I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball last week.
The premise of this show is real and transparent, guys.
One time. Tyler Klutz and Ben Gibbs, and we all had this weakness, and it's been a part of my life, and I can speak personally for me. It's been a part of my life since day one. Is overcoming that part where you just wake up sometimes, or even just during the day when there's something that that task that you have to get to, and you just have that I don't feel like doing it attitude. So I'm gonna throw it on out there. You guys open me up and let's start talking about it.
Yeah, I think this concept and for you, and I'm going to use you as an example. This idea of like, I just don't feel like doing the extra things, right? Like I want certain things. Like I see memes all over the internet, right? Like I want the money, I just don't want a job, right? Like all these things that like you've got to push yourself beyond that level of comfort to get what your goal is. And so often, and everybody, I think in human nature, it's wired into that lazy gene. And I say lazy, and I'm not calling people lazy because
yes, you are.
I'm calling myself lazy.
Yeah, you're calling everybody lazy, well, which we all are.
Especially Ben. He's probably the laziest one at this table.
Hey, I'm a recovering lazyholic.
But right, like, and for you, like the best at your sport, right? Like the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, right? It takes a level of dedication. It takes a level of commitment that is so far beyond so many other things. And that's something that we've talked about in the past. Like we still have to overcome that.
Yeah.
And I think like the number one question that I want to pose at the very beginning of this topic is, what is the why that drives you to not listen to that voice in your head that says, I don't want to do it? Because ultimately, I think that's what it's going to come back to, is what's your why? We talked about this in a previous episode about, okay, your why needs to be stronger than all the reasons that you don't do it.
Right.
And so for you, talk us through, as you're going through your journey, being raised in Phoenix, having, a family financial situation growing up, right? And overcoming poverty and overcoming odds of your neighborhood and pushing through and not listening to all the voices in your head that say, man, Darren, just do what everybody else do. Go be a gangbanger, go be this. Like, why did you push through and not listen to that voice? Like, I don't feel like it.
I think the reason why I felt that way coming up was, that I went out and did the little things when it was 115 degrees in heat in Phoenix, Arizona, and I went out and ran and did those little things is based on fear. I mean, fear of not being successful. I didn't want to live in the projects or in the inner city all my life. There was to me, there was so much more to life than just the status quo. So for me, it was fear. My whole life has been, even today, the reason why I get my ass up and go is because of the fear of not being able to accomplish the things I want to accomplish in life. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'd say I get that. Growing up, you had a very tangible fear of getting out the situation that you were. But now, when the outsider looks at your life and thinks, oh, he's got it all figured out, he's got everything you ever want. No. What is the fear driving you now?
No, it's the same thing. Failure. I'm afraid to fail. And we, guys, we played a game. I can talk for every defensive back out there that played the defensive back position. What motivates you as a defensive back? It's the fear of giving up the big play. It's the fear of dun-dun-dun, and you're chasing someone on ESPN.
By the way,
I said that pretty good, huh?
Good friends. That was
really good.
I feel like you've heard that a couple times.
A few times.
To that point, one of my good friends back in Fresno State alumni, I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to put him on blast.
Say his name.
But he was on the other end of the phrase getting mossed.
Oh, yeah.
DB in Chicago.
Oh, no way. He was the original?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So I mean, the fear is real.
But it's real, man. And that's what drove me every day to get up early in the morning, to go to work, be the first one in, to get the weights going, to watch as much film as I could, was based on the fear of letting myself down, the embarrassment, and all those little things that come with it, man. But I think that spanned it when I was a kid, I had this feeling. And I think that's what has motivated me all these years.
Do you think that this is something that, we've talked about this before, do you think for you it's always come natural, sounds like, but for other people, can they learn something like this? Can they learn to overcome this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, I don't have all the answers, but I look at things as milestones. Like if you really want something, like you really, really want it, whatever it is, if it's a better relationship with God, then get your butt up early in the morning, get on your knees, sit in a quiet closet by yourself and do your thing. If you really want it. If you really want money, find a way. If it's money that interests you, then you have to be so selfish and so self-centered to go do what you want to do. And I don't have a problem with people that have goals and they set their goals and they're so selfish in doing so, because that's who they are. And if they got a goal that's in front of them, I was the same way. I had a goal in front of me, and there were a lot of casualties because of it. I lost a lot of friends. People didn't like me. I had haters come on. All you care about is success and this and that. That was my goal. It was my goal, and I was going to do whatever it took to achieve that goal. So for anyone that's out there listening right now, I think you have to have, look, with greatness comes disruption. You have to be disruptive. If you want something great or you want to achieve something, you have to go above and beyond. I know it's a cliche, but it's so true, man. You cannot stay status quo.
So football, like you had fear of not getting beat, fear of becoming the greatest, right? Like the desire to be great. But now in the second phase, right? The second phase of your life, and there's so many facets we can talk about. And I think some of the biggest topics that, me now being part of just the general public, right? A civilian, is like, okay,
if you will.
Right. And so like some of the things the common things are fitness, right? And health. Money, family, and then maybe faith in your spiritual journey, right? Like this whole idea of wellness. But like those are things now that you have a different approach to, right? Because you don't have to, maintain your 4.69 40.
4.6.
4.7?
4.6.
That's blasphemous saying that to me.
But you don't have to maintain that, right? So what is your, like, you get up in the morning, and I know you guys work out together early in the morning. Like, what is that? Like, I mean, here, let's be real. Like, do you have that? Like, when you wake up in the morning, is there ever the like, man, I'm tired. I don't want to feel it. Like, because I think that's what everybody thinks, that like these guys that have arrived, like they just have a different level. I can't achieve that. Like, hell no. Like, we all struggle with that. Like, that's a real deal. And whoever says that they don't on all these Instagram posts and these online coaches and all this, that like, bull crap. Like, Tony Robbins in the morning is like, do I want to get up and go give this speech?
Do I really want to do this?
Do I really want to do this?
You know what? I'm going to go first, and then we're going to go around this table.
All right.
We're going to go around this table. Okay, so working out has become, because I have a shoulder injury that I don't want to go have surgery. So Ben and I get together 3 days out of the week.
Well, be honest.
Come on.
Hey,
I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball last week.
The premise of this show is real and transparent, guys.
One time. All right, I tapped out one time. But it's the reality of can I finish the story?
Go ahead.
This is the reality of it.
I thought we were trying to be honest.
We are trying to be honest. I tapped out once, maybe twice. Twice. 2 times.
Okay. Maybe we've worked out twice.
Come on. No, right. You're right. Just go to your handle. Just go to Gibbs Fitness app.
That's true.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey,
you'll
follow me at Gibbs Fitness 10.
You see how many times I'm there. I'm killing
it.
Anyway, I'm destroying your workouts, by the way.
Well,
it's like yum.
Continue the story.
So I am in the morning, I get up, I roll out of bed, and the first thing I do is I go to, you go in and you go to the restroom, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. And the first thing I do is I put my shoes on. Not my sliders, not my nothing, no shorts, no nothing. I put my shoes on.
So hold on. How do you get your compression shorts on over your shoes?
Follow me on this now, right? And I do it for one small reason. I do it for one reason. Because I am such a coward, because the part of me that looks in that mirror says, go get back in the bed. Ben's coming at 4:45 a.m. At 4:15, I got to get up. I'm up at 4:15. I got to figure out a way to convince myself not to go back into bed. And the way I do it is I put my shoes on. And then I put and it's hard, dude. I promise you, I trick myself. I got to do the compression shorts and the whole nine, and I get dressed and brush my teeth and get going. But the coward in me is so alive, like it's there, man, and it's a part of it. And I think I'm not the only one that has to do it. But through this whole process, my fear is that I'm going to let Ben down because I know he's coming. Mm-hmm. And we all know this dude. He's type A. He's going to show up on time and drag us to do whatever.
40 minutes to get to you, by the way.
And he's going to talk shit if I'm not ready to go, right?
Yeah.
So
you know it.
That's the fear that I have is I can't let him down. Yeah. He's coming. He's driving from 30 minutes away. He's coming, and I know he's coming. So that's how I trick myself to get up. So when people sit there and go, man, you work out and you do all this. Dude, I got so many things that I have to overcome on a daily basis. So many things that I have to truly motivate myself to get going. So I went first. Your turn, Tyler.
Yeah.
What is it? How do you overcome?
So along the same lines on the fitness side, and you mentioned like having the accountability of someone, but literally growing up, I loved working out. And in my background and like being a wrestling, like for me, that was like working out was so much easier than the actual sport, right? So I enjoyed that aspect of it. And then as I'm playing, I'm like, man, I can't wait for ball to be over so I can like just work out to enjoy it. And it's not just for, being more explosive and getting a better shuttle time and, all these things. And I got to that point where I transitioned out of football and it was really hard for me. It was because I didn't have that locker room relying on me to be there and be at my best. And I didn't have a job on the line if I didn't perform and physically I wasn't able to do it, that there was consequences if I didn't show up every day. And so for me, like the fitness aspect, so like transparency, I'm probably 20 pounds heavier than I really should be right now. And it's something that I swore I would never get to this point. And here's a story like with my family has struggled with weight, like my side. So my dad had the gastric bypass surgery, and my grandpa, my uncle, they've all had it, right? And then my siblings have had it. And it's one of those things, and I didn't have any empathy for them at all when I was playing.
So what was the mindset? What would you say to them?
So here's the thing. It's like there's either a back issue or a knee issue, and it was like this, and it's like, and I'm like really kind of naive to the fact that like, okay, there's a real life outside of where I'm at right now because like I get paid to work out. Right. I get paid well to work out. It's really easy to get motivated when that's all you got to do, right? And so there was no empathy for them and like, well, your back hurts. Well, get your core stronger. Lose some weight. If you're not lugging around the weight, like you'll be fine. Or your knees hurt and you can't run, well, start walking. Like lose the weight, then you can actually do it. And there was no empathy on my part. And I got to this, and it's hard. Like to be honest, really, that 4:45 wake up for me is hard. It really is. And I've put on weight. And what I found is like there's not any goal on the other side. Because here's the thing: is like if I stay at the weight that I'm at right now, is it going to cost me a deal in real estate?
Right.
No.
No, at all. Yeah.
Am I not going to go on a date with my wife that next week? No. She's not going to treat me any different.
How do you
she may not sneak into the shower, more as often. But there's very little consequences for me not to do that. That was my mindset probably until just a couple months ago, to where I'm at work and I'm just like, man, I'm realizing I'm not as productive as I could be. I can't focus as well because my diet's not where it needs to be. My consistency in the gym. Like I go to the gym, I work out in Frisco, Texas at Cowboys Fit. If anybody is listening, just look up Cowboys Fit. It's a phenomenal deal that Jerry partnered with 24 Hour Fitness as far as a gym goes. Every resource that I could possibly want is literally 100 yards from my office. And I go there, and there's a group of guys that I've gotten to know pretty well over the years and training there, and they're like, oh, 2 days in a row. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy now. But I really struggled with it. But what I'm learning and realizing is my why was not strong enough. My why to go work out is like, Do I want to look good? Yeah. Heck yeah. That's a drive for me to go to the gym. But like, if I don't look great, like it's not that big of a deal. There's no consequence. Now I'm seeing that that's actually playing a role in my efficiency and productivity and relationships. Like my wife and I, and again, this is transparent raw. My wife and I have probably argued more in the last 3.5 years since I retired for a multitude of reasons. And there's life situations that come up. But what I've learned is that I'm really irritable and crappy to be around if I don't have that physical exhaustion at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there was a point when I was still playing, like, and it's usually that first month after the season, right? When you're like, I'm gonna take some time off, like where my wife would be like, go to the gym. Like, I can't be around you right now.
Because you had to get that
for
out of
real.
you.
Like we would get in a fight and I'd be so stubborn and hard headed. I go to the gym and like by the end of my workout, I'm like, okay, I'm actually seeing this from a darker perspective now. Like maybe I was being a jackass.
That aerodine bite your ass wore out. That's what it is.
Working out is full clarity, man.
Break you.
Yes.
But what I'm seeing is it comes back to my why. Because I didn't want what was on the other side of it bad enough to go through the waking up early in the morning. And I blame it, okay, it's low testosterone or I'm this.
Yep.
And I have all these excuses that I'm listening to that voice in my head as to why I shouldn't do it, why I shouldn't get up. Well, I worked late last night, so I shouldn't get up.
But
then it's like, okay, so then I sleep until 6 o'clock. Then I go to the work, no gym, and then I'm frustrated because like I feel rushed and I didn't get everything done that I wanted to get. And that's a real deal. So to circle back, my empathy for everybody struggling, this is a real thing. And I thought I was immune to it, but it's a real thing. That voice, like, I just don't feel like it, is a real problem that people have to consciously overcome. And I want to. There's a book that I read. It's called Unbreakable by Tom Shea. He's a former SEAL, and he does these extreme races, right, where they're running 150 miles, they're kayaking 50 miles, and they're riding a bike like 1,000 miles. These crazy races, and he talks about this thing called internal dialogue. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's the voice in your head.
Yeah.
And what it is the voice in your head is your weakness. That's all it is. It's telling you why you can't do it. Some may say, okay, hey, it's the devil telling you can't, trying to, and from a religious standpoint or our faith-based standpoint is, he's trying to contradict the power that God gives you and all these things, right? Trying to make you weak. Well, it's real, but here's the deal: is we control it. We control what we tell ourselves every day. When we put our foot on the ground, when we get out of bed, we control everything that goes on in our head, and it's just something that you have to train. A simple exercise, a very simple exercise, is what you do is you say, okay, I'm going to do 10 push-ups every day when I get out of bed in the morning, and 10 push-ups before I go to bed every night.
Right?
Okay. And so you do that for a week, and then you go to 20 push-ups. And then you do that for another week, and you do 30 push-ups right when you get out of bed. And it's not about the physical aspect of it. But the exercise is what you do is you focus on what that voice is actually saying to you, why I should not do those 10 push-ups. And take a note of it. Literally have a notebook by your bed and say, what is my voice telling me why I can't get out of bed to do these 10 push-ups? It takes a grand total of 15 seconds to get down on the ground and do 10 push-ups. And then at night, why you can't, why you're too busy, why you're this, all these excuses, why not. And listen to that and until you can control that. And the whole point is if you stop and you miss one of those, then you have to start all the way over again until you can actually finish this. And I've never made it through it. I've gotten to 20. I've gotten halfway through my second week. And then something told me I shouldn't do it, couldn't do it. But there's nowhere that you can't do 10 push-ups or 20 push-ups. And it's one of those things that, like, he really talks about this internal voice and being able to drive you. And that's how he does these races, right? Like, think about these distance runners and all that. It's like your body's at exhaustion. Well, your mind is weaker than your body.
Yes.
Your body can go so much further than your mind can. But that voice that says, I just don't feel like it today. Why? Why are you going to let your voice control you achieving the goals that you want to?
Right.
And it comes back, I think, ultimately it circles back. Your why has to be strong enough to really change that voice that's in your head that says, no, I'm going to do it anyways. Even if it's uncomfortable for a second, I'm going to do it.
Jimmy Johnson used to have this feeling. He's always, we're talking about, by the way, we are talking about the topic of, I don't feel like it. and having those moments in your life where you just don't feel like doing whatever the task is at hand. I remember Jimmy Johnson, the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, when I first got here in 1992, he'd always say, your weakness, he made it like it was every day. He said, the weakness is in the brain, is in the mind. He says the body will do what the mind tells it to
totally
do.
Agree.
If you can control the mind, anything is possible through he basically was our like psychologist, man. We don't have these conversations with it, but it was so true. So Ben, what is yours, man? What is it that how do you overcome I don't feel like it?
Yeah, to that point, before I get to that, what Jimmy was talking about, that's why I like to put physical challenges for myself out there every now and then, because I know that when things get bad and when I get tired and I don't feel like going anymore, but I do it anyway, it's just another check mark next to that feeling of I don't feel like it anymore. So for me, I hate being bad at something. Absolutely hate it.
But what's that stem from?
That's what I'm talking. So as a kid, how I would react to that was I would just quit. If something wasn't going my way, if I wasn't getting the playing time I wanted or whatever, I would emotionally react and I would just quit. Now, and I don't even remember exactly what point this changed for me, but for me now it's turned into I become obsessed with getting better at whatever it is that I'm trying to get better. It's almost if I spoke to a psychologist, they'd probably say I'm sick in the head, but I really do.
You don't have to speak to a psychologist to learn that.
But seriously, it's become a sick obsession now because I've been running for so long from the kid that would react by quitting that I'm trying to compensate for that now in my older age and just get away from that mindset and get obsessed with getting better at something. Some people are just born with it, I think. I am a perfect example of somebody that had to learn this. This was not easy. This is years of constantly telling myself, I don't feel like it, I'm going to do it anyway. And I think the way that it started changing was by who I surrounded myself with. A lot of people that I surrounded myself with in my professional career, just by chance of the job I had, were very successful, business owners, doctors, things like that. So I was around people daily at my previous career that had exactly what I wanted. And so for me to sit there and see these people, it just rubs off on you, right? Eventually it carries over to everything you do because you just see it every single day and you're just exposed to it so much and you know what you're shooting for because you see a tangible example of it every single day. So for me, it's taking it from, I can't stand not being good at something, taking it from quitting to now I become so obsessed with it until I get close to mastering whatever that task is. And I'm not a finished product by any means. It's still something I work on.
It's crazy, but you of anyone I know now, I mean, you are an extremist.
Yes, I am.
All the way. Like you've made this transition from, and I remember you telling the story to me one time, and I actually saw the picture of Ben when he was a kid.
We'll post that someday.
18 donuts
was that
in his mouth.
your 8th grade ID card? Is that what that was?
We'll put that up on our Instagram one of these days.
Wow.
But now you know why I'm so obsessed.
But I mean, does it go back to some fear of going back to?
100%. Because that kid was scared. He was a coward. Again, I quit whenever things got hard, and I just got to a point where I was sick of that. I was sick of living that way. So I might have dialed up the notch a little too far the other way.
Yeah.
But I would much rather be obsessed on the way I am now than I was back then.
Hey, go ahead.
Yeah, I like this idea of fear because I think that's a big driver. It drives us good or bad. Right, like that really is a good deal to really listen to that voice. But here's something, and this is something that's going to probably go a little bit deeper than what we're talking about right now. But I'd like to go there. Is like you quit or you don't do these things because you don't feel like it. But like why? Why do you not feel like it? My fear, and this is me personally, I'm not going to speak for everyone at the table, but my fear is that if I fail or if I put myself out there, if I do these things, then my fear is that I'm going to get exposed, right? I'm going to get exposed for the people or the person that I know that I am.
Yes.
Not what everyone thinks that I am or the image that I put out there or, what the public perception is like that, like, holy smokes, like all these people like that I'm like going out and trying to do this and I fail, they're going to actually figure out who I really am.
Yeah, that is deep, man. That's really deep, and that plays across the board. And we don't, we come from the athletic professional world of sports, and you see guys play at a high level, and then you see some guys play at an average level or whatnot. Even guys that are really talented, they still play at this average level, and it's regular people. But I'll say this, man. I think one of the things that if you want to really talk to successful people, like people that however you want to measure it, success. But those who I feel have had successful lives and they have touched people and done tremendous things and accomplishments, there's one thing about them. They don't give a damn. Mm. They don't care what you think. They don't care what I think or anyone else. And half the time, they don't even give a damn what they own, what they feel, outside coming in. They just want to get done what they need to get done. And the great ones do it. I don't know how many times I've heard stories about Michael Jordan. Like, people did not like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Personally, everyone loved Mike outside. I didn't know him, but those that were close to him, they'll tell you stories and go, "This dude was an asshole, a complete asshole," and he didn't care. And I know it's still fresh in our mind, but how many times did you hear this about Kobe?
Right.
Mm-hmm. It was the same thing. This Mamba mentality, yeah. But when he was playing, people couldn't stand him until they saw the finished product, and that's what I admired so much about Kobe Bryant. Is that he had a swagger and a confidence that we all could look at and say, damn, that's what I want. Mm. That's a part of me that I want to steal from him. And I'm not the only one, I'm sure. There's so many people. We admire those who are willing to go through the fire.
Yeah. He's a guy that I've heard stories from people that know him personally, and I never had the opportunity to meet him, but that would, okay, hey, we're going to go meet in Vegas for the weekend. Well, he's in Vegas at 4 a.m. taking 500 shots before he even gets his dates. Talk about a guy that overcomes the I don't feel like it mentality, that just pushes himself. And if either get on the train or get out of the way. Like, I don't care. I'm going to be great, and you come along with me. But that's what, to your point, that's what it takes. You can't, and this is something that I struggle with. I struggle with getting the affection, appreciation,
I'm the same way.
Acknowledgement of other people, right? Like, to make sure, I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to like me. I wonder how much of my life has not been productive enough because I've been worried about
what everybody else
everyone thinks. Yeah. And I don't want to rub them the wrong way, and it'll all come around and all these things. And that's a real issue that I have, and that's something that my wife and I even just get it, because she's not as much of a people pleaser. She loves helping people, but she says it like it is.
Yes.
Whereas me, like, I'm so like,
oh my God. And you know what? I played with one of the guys, Deion Sanders, who we're going to get on this show at some point. But through his whole life, he's been a guy that everyone says he's arrogant and he's cocky and he's this and that. And they have all these things they say about Prime, Deion, all these, over the years. But when you really peel that onion back and you're around Deion, what's so admirable about him is that he just doesn't care how people feel about him. And he has this thing about him that says, I'm going to change the world type of attitude. And whether that be in mentoring kids or being involved with the church, he does so many positive things, and everyone wants to take a shot at him. But he, more than anyone that I've ever met, he has overcome the I don't feel like it attitude. Yep. I don't feel like it. You know what? To him, he's just like, so I'm going to go through this. I have enough power and enough gall and mindset to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And he's an extremist in that way, and he's a lot like you, Ben, the same way.
Let me ask this. What is your guys' opinion of why people give into the voice other than fear? Why do you think people give into this voice so often? And I think culture-wise.
Yes. Comfort. It's comfort. It is much easier to stay in bed than it is to get out of bed on Tuesday morning when it's raining and it's cold outside. Comfort, we're designed as human beings to be comfortable. It's part of survival. It's part of your instinct to survive, is doing the path of least resistance so that I can keep living, right? So comfort is 100% the reason, in my opinion.
So what's more what's more powerful, comfort or regret?
That's strong.
What's a bigger driver? Like, I think I agree with you, right? Like, there's so often in the morning I'm like, damn, I was working till 11 o'clock last night. But here's the thing: is like, I look back and I'm like, damn, if I'd have like started that like regimen or diet 6 months ago, like I just wasted 6 months.
Okay, but I guarantee you that if you had to weigh the two, comfort is so much more stronger than regret. Because if honestly, if they were even close, people would achieve so much more just through the power of regretting. Because I regret so much of I didn't do this because of such and such or whatnot. Then I'll think about it and I'll harp on it for a while. But when I get past the comfort part, like getting up early at 4:15, and I've gotten past the comfort part, and I've gone out there, man, there's the joy. I'm serious. Now that I've gotten past that. I've gotten past the comfort part. I'm in it and doing whatever I'm doing. I've achieved. What's the term that you always use, Ben? What is it that you say about you finally achieve what it is? You don't remember right now. There goes your
Wow.
Yeah, but there's so much more. There's so much joy in the fact of actually getting done what you needed to get done.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We oftentimes let the way that we're feeling in this current moment overshadow whatever it is the goal that we're trying to achieve. And like we were talking about earlier, that goal needs to be so big that it can overcome that current feeling. Whatever your current mind state is, that goal you're trying to achieve can overcome that. Have you guys ever heard of Ross Edgeley?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ross is the guy that swam. Yeah.
So Ross Edgeley, if you don't know who he is, he's all over social media. So on a bet in a bar, he decided he was going to swim literally around Great Britain. 157 days around Great Britain.
And you look this guy up.
White dude. He's a white dude.
For sure.
Okay. Their brother gonna get in the water.
Never. I ain't going
brother get in the water.
Hey, no chance of going heads with sharks or fish or squid. Nothing.
But here's the deal about this guy. For 157 days, he would swim for 6 hours. He would get back on the boat for 6 hours, rest, sleep, whatever he had to do. For 6 months, he did not touch land. He repeated that same cycle. 6 hours swimming, 6 hours in the boat. 40-mile-an-hour winds, big swells. There was one part he talks about, he said he gets stung by jellyfish all the time. Well, at one point, he said he'd been swimming for 3 hours, and this jellyfish sting, he still felt it. And he's like, man, this must just be a really big jellyfish. I don't know why. So he pops up for air. He yells at the guy on the boat. He said, man, I got bit by a jellyfish, and it just won't go away. The pain won't go away. And the guy said, dude, the jellyfish is still on your face. This guy had swam for 3 hours with a jellyfish stuck in his goggles. He talks about how he would wake up sometimes during his recovery, and pieces of his tongue would be on the pillow because of all the salt water just disintegrating his tongue. And so the quote in the podcast that I was listening to, the quote he says is, "The ocean doesn't care if I feel like swimming." His reason for swimming and doing this, whatever it was, personal achievement, whatever, was so great that he was willing to sacrifice his tongue, his face, his comfort,
possibly his life,
because he wanted to accomplish this goal. He wasn't letting anything stop him. He wasn't letting how he currently felt. I mean, just think about that mindset. After 6 hours of swimming the first time, he did this for 157 days, keep in mind. But think about the mindset. You just swam for 6 hours. You get a 6-hour break, and you got to jump back into that water and do it all over again. Every single day for 157 shifts.
I mean, talk about a plenty of time for that inner voice in your head to tell you, hey, you just shut this down.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Let's go in.
You can't do it.
Justifiably so, right?
Yeah.
Every single... Physically, that shouldn't be possible to swim for 6 straight hours for 157.
And if you look this guy up, he's not built like Michael Phelps. Like, dude is stacked. Like, he's thick. Like, he is jacked. And he's not built like a swimmer. Generally, those body types sink more than they float, right? And so he was able to push through this. I mean, he would eat in the water. They'd toss him a banana in the ocean.
He's literally eating a banana
while he's swimming.
Salt water.
Just so that he can make sure that he stays on schedule, and they've mapped this whole thing out. I mean, we're talking, okay, and they did it, I believe, summer and fall. as he went around Great Britain. And I mean, you look how far north up above Scotland he's got to go. And he's talking about swimming through whirlpools, like around these massive whirlpools outside of Scotland that like, it's just like, I mean, I didn't even know whirlpools were real. I thought that when I was a kid, my parents made those up. Think about it, right?
Wait a minute,
as you're a kid, we're going to tangent here.
Yeah.
When have you ever seen a real whirlpool in life? In real life?
Never.
Washer and dryer is called a whirlpool.
Yeah, right? I thought literally as a kid, like as a kid, quicksand and whirlpool were the two scariest things to me, right? And these kids these days, they don't have a real fear.
But why, man?
but yeah, we're not saying you got to swim around Great Britain to develop this ability to overcome that.
No,
voice.
but we're talking about But just think about the people like every day don't want to get up and go to work. I mean, not even working out. I'm just talking get up, going to work, coming home from work and playing with your kids. I mean, the smallest things that I just don't feel like it, and those are things that everyone deals with. I mean, everyone. I don't feel like it doesn't just pick and choose who it deals with. It's everyone, and for me, it's like, how do we overcome that, and what can we do to provide those who are listening some tangible, something to take away from it. And go ahead.
I love what Tyler said earlier. I think it can start small, getting small wins. So the 10 push-ups you were talking about, that's a great strategy.
Get a milestone, right?
That's a great strategy. There's a guy, former SEAL commander, who did the speech at UT. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube.
Yeah, General McCraven.
And he talks about making your bed first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So that when you come home from a long day, at the very least, you had one win. You started your day with a win, at the very least. So I don't think it has to be anything crazy extreme, like I'm going to work out 6 days a week from zero. I think it just starts with one day. Yeah. I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to go work out and feel good about that win that you had. And that eventually stacks on top. And you look up in 6 months and all of a sudden you're off and running.
Right. And I agree. And I think we keep relating it to fitness, right? Because that's a hot topic, right? Like as a country, like we're out of shape, right? Like just as a whole, right? And that's good for someone that like fitness, like, okay, I can do that. But like, what about that person that's 100 pounds overweight, right? And has a food addiction or has a substance addiction? Like, what are the things, or you know what? Let's not even do that, because that's like a health thing, right? Like that'll drive you. What about just a person that's okay, right? Like they're average, like they've got a job, but they just struggle. They've got goals, but they're just like, I'm not going to take the path to get there. So what are those tangible goals? And I think to the point that you were just saying, like celebrate all wins. That was in college, our special teams, one of our mantras was like, we celebrate all wins. Like if you held them inside the 20, celebrate it.
Right.
Do it. Like all these little things, but also you've got to somewhat have a plan, right? You can't like aimlessly wander to your goal. And so that you can say, okay, look, hey, if my goal for me, and I'm speaking personally, my goal is to earn enough on an annual basis that I make twice what my last season in the NFL was. That's it. Like that's what I want, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Okay, that's my goal. Well, how do I get there? Because literally for the last 3 years, I've been working my ass off. Like I'm really, from a work perspective, I know I've been struggling on the fitness side, but from a work perspective, I've been working my ass off to grow in this industry and make that transition and do all this. But like, I feel like I'm running in place sometimes because it's just football was like, okay, put my head down and work. But if I don't have an actual plan, I'm not going to move forward. And so I think, to your point, celebrate all wins, but mark those down and have those to look at so that it's like, okay, hey, I need to make X this year, okay? I need to make 2X next year. I need to make 3X next year, and then go until I reach my goal. And then celebrate those along the way. Because if you just say, okay, hey, either I'm going to make $1 million a year or I fail, then it's like you're going to get halfway into it and you're going to quit. That voice, like, you're not going to make it.
You know what, though, man? I think it goes back to, and it doesn't matter what it is that you want to achieve. It doesn't matter if it's the workplace, if it's fitness or whatever it is. Ultimately, in the end, it goes against things that we always teach our kids, but you have to be selfish. You really do. You really, like, the guy swimming in in the ocean. I mean,
Would you ever do that, by the
No,
way?
absolutely
Have you ever swam in the ocean?
Put my toe in. But took it right back out real
Hey,
quick.
the beach in Cabo doesn't count.
No.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly where I was. But I'm serious, man. There's got to be something, like, you got to be so hyper-focused that it has to be a selfish part of you that says, hey, for this next hour and a half, this is my time. Mm-hmm. This is my time, and this is my goal. Because what happens to us? There's always, okay, I set my mind to doing this, and then here comes the distractions. And here they come, and they keep layer after layer of distractions. And
Excuses.
hey, excuse. I mean, ultimately, you have to sit back and say, this is going to be Ben's time. And for the next 2 hours, for me to accomplish what I need to accomplish, here it is. It's on me. Or have, like what I do is, I have an accountability partner who's sitting across from me now, who's going to hold me to the fire, man. But, I mean, we can't do this on our own. How many things have you ever really accomplished on your own?
Nothing.
Not a damn thing,
Nothing.
right? I mean,
Absolutely
it takes people to encourage you. You're going to fall. You're going to have a wife that says,
Take
hey,
that back.
baby.
I've quit on my own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I put on
No
my
doubt.
own as well. But,
Yeah,
no doubt.
in order to achieve anything that we do in life, if you're trying to do it by yourself, even the guy that was swimming, he had a boat that was right next to him,
Yeah.
with people were encouraging him and getting him going. You have to have someone pushing you along the way.
Okay, so let me. Here's a challenge to what we just talked about, right? So we're saying be selfish, but then also have accountability from other people.
Yes.
So what is that? What is selfish? When you say selfish, do you mean at the expense of someone, or do you mean sacrificed by someone?
I'm saying at the expense of those that, how many, I can say to you, I have so many distractions. I have so many people pulling me every single day. And I'm sure we all do.
Hey, for anybody that knows him, like, that is an understatement how he's saying it right now.
But there is, like, you're going to have through this process, people pulling at you. But if it's your ultimate goal to stop smoking, you either have someone that's going to hold you to the fire, and you block out that time of not being around those people that are smoking with you. I mean, they always say if you're smoking, your boy is coming over to the house and he's a smoker too. Guess what? You're trying to quit, but that's what I'm saying. There's so many outside distractions, so you have to be. It's almost like a game plan. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to get out of my life, and this is the focus. I am hyper focused on getting done what I need to get done. Period. Because if not, man, you're going to have all these distractions and people pulling you from, from different angles.
Yeah, you got to surround yourself with people that have what you want, in my opinion. You two guys are great examples. You guys have accomplished so much, and so just being around you two makes me want to be better and keeps me from listening to that voice if I don't feel like it. Because you guys draw me up, and whoever it is that you surround yourself with, if they have what you want and what you're going for, the chances that you're going to overcome that voice more often than you're not are pretty good.
So stop being a pussy then. That's what you're trying to say, huh?
Pretty much.
Pretty much? Okay.
Hey, Ron, not so tough at 4:30 in the morning, are you?
I'm not, man. I'm the biggest coward. I'm telling you.
Hey, that deep crosser.
Well, hey, listen, we're going to end the show right here with I don't feel like it. And listen, we want reviews. We want people to hit us back and let us know exactly the topic and give us some words of wisdom, some advice on how you've accomplished and gotten over the I don't feel like it bug. So, again, speaking for Tyler Klutz and Ben Gibbs, the Darren Woodson Show, and we will see you again soon.